Greetings everyone, Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to my latest New World video, and I'm finally getting around to my first impressions video. The first few videos I did were on my rapier and ice gauntlet build, the fact that I love that there are no mounts in the game, and some other stuff, talking about some mechanics and features. I didn't feel like I had played the game enough to do a first impressions video, but I'm 40 hours in at this point. I'm level 26. I feel like I've played the game enough. I've run the first dungeon multiple times. I've done a little bit of everything, and I feel like I have a pretty good idea of the game at this point, so it's time for me to give my first impressions video. Note that this will be slightly different than my full review, which I'm going to be doing later on in October after I've had another 20 or so hours to sink my teeth into the game. I'll do a full review at the end of the month, and we'll go from there. Before I get going any further, though, if this is your first time here, do me a favor, like the video if this is something that appeals to you, and drop a comment below. And if you feel so inclined, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell icon so you get updates for all the other content that I do here on YouTube. Because I do more than just game reviews. We do book reviews, I do the Lotro Cooking in Real Life show, Mondays in MMORPGs, Monday musings, and other stuff. So hopefully you stick around for all the things that I do here on YouTube and not just New World. But without further ado, let's dive into this game. We've got my character here. Turn him around a little bit. I am a rapier and ice gauntlet person. I like both of these. The ice gauntlet is my favorite, of course. If you saw a video that went live the other day, I talked a little bit about my build. This is still a bug going on. There is bug. There are bugs. There is bugs. There is bugs. There are bugs. Um, I've got 11 in ice gauntlet and 8 in rapier. Those are my primary two. I've got, for the most part, you know, looking at my crafting and gathering, I've got my primary gatherings all are over 50. I don't care about fishing, so I probably will never do fishing. Although I have heard people rave about how good fishing is in this game. I have not done it yet. What I will say, before I get into the combat side of the games, I do want to talk first and foremost about the harvesting and crafting system. I think this is one of the coolest harvesting and crafting systems that I have ever played in an MMORPG in the last like 10 years. I still think for me, Vanguard Saga of Heroes holds the #1 place for me, followed by their launch version of EverQuest 2 in terms of my favorite crafting systems of all time. But for the last decade, yeah, this harvesting and crafting system is really amazing. I like the fact that harvesting is something that is really casual to do, and there are like almost everything in the game world is a node. No joke. Like when you leave the city, almost everything apart from grass and dirt can be harvested and can be used for something. And that leads me to the next component of the harvesting crafting system, which is the fact that when you're looking at crafting, not the refining, but the actual crafting, almost everything ties in to something else or uses resources from somewhere else. So if I can show you really quick, how close am I to? We'll run down over here. I'll just give you an example. We'll go to the loom. Because this is something that I absolutely love. This is the right one, outfitting station. So if I want to make pants, right? Not only do they take sateen, they also take leather and steel. So I need linens, or I need threads and fibers, I need leathers, and I need actual mining ingots as well. So you need multiple things for multiple harvesting spheres, and you can choose to either harvest those yourselves or refine them. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. You can also buy them off the broker. But that's one of the things I love about this system is the fact that you can, or that you need to mix and match, and everything kind of blends with everything else. I don't want this video to be all about the harvesting and crafting system, but I do rant and rave about it because it's really cool. And I find that harvesting is really enjoyable. I've been finding myself every morning just kind of getting up and drinking my coffee and running around and spending like an hour, hour and a half just harvesting stuff in the game world while I'm out there doing like faction quests and so on and so forth. So it's pretty cool stuff. In terms of the combat, I think that the combat in this game, I'm not typically an action combat fan, but it is done well enough in this game that it's fairly strategic. especially you need to block, you need to dodge, you need to be paying attention to those types of things. I'll cover this more in my full review of the game later on in October, but it's a combat system that, since I don't usually like action combat, I'm actually enjoying it in this game. But I also will say that, full disclosure, I play on a controller because I can't stand doing action combat with mouse and keyboard. And I do this. I'm using Big Picture on Steam. It's a little finicky. It's not perfect. I really wish the game had the controller support that they said they were going to have, which is the one thing I really don't like, the fact that they dropped the ball on that. That'll be in my final review, how I think that that's a failure on their part. But be that as it may, I can make the controller work, which is great for my crippled old hands that don't like to do keyboard and mouse action combat. Um, Last night we did, I think it was the third or fourth run of Amrine Expedition or Excavation. And it was fun because we did it with a non-standard group last night. And this is where I think the action combat shines a little bit, because we went in with no tank, and it took us 3 different tries to get the final boss down, but we ended up finding a very unique solution in the fact that our main tank person just threw a gem on his spear and was spear fighting it the whole time. And then I was using my AoE ice to pull the ads back every time they would spawn, and we would wipe them out before they had a chance to dive into the vomit and eat the vomit and then super buff the boss. And it did take us a few tries, but we were able to use unique mechanics to our advantage because we were ducking, dodging, blocking, moving out of the way, and moving the mobs around the field. And it was a very fast-paced fight that was way more fast-paced than any sort of tab-targeted game would have been in the same type of scenario. And I also feel that, and I think we were all in agreement on this because we were all talked about it for 10 or 15 minutes after the fight last night. But when we got done, it was like this. You felt really, you felt that sense of achievement. It was also, we all said it was the first time we had felt challenged in an MMORPG in like a decade. Just zeros there. I'm totally not paying attention. Um, Anyway, combat's pretty good. Solo combat's pretty easy. The world itself, if you go into the world map, the areas are they're done pretty well in the sense that the open world is mostly soloable. And then you have these areas like the Valley Tempest and this Shattered Obelisk area, which is harder mobs that you can do on your own, but there's some mini bosses inside that you need some friends. There's a dungeon in there which we haven't done yet because that's level 35 and I'm not that level. There's also some group areas, and I've only explored, after 40 hours of the game, I have really only explored Monarch's Bluff, Everfall, and Windsward, and I haven't even really fully explored those 3 areas. And there are a lot of other areas in the map that I haven't um, dove into yet. So it feels pretty good, and I talked about this in my previous video on the fact that there's no mounts in this game and that fast travel is somewhat limited based on the Azoth that you have in your um, inventory, which is that special currency that you can earn in game, but it comes quick, and unless you're just like fast traveling nonstop, you're never going to run out of Azoth, I have found. And I use it for crafting, I use it for fast traveling, and I've yet to really ever drop below 500. I don't even think I've dropped below 600 Azoth, and the max is 1,000. So the game world feels pretty big to me. Again, after 40 hours, having only seen 3 of the main territories, and most of that is just because that's where my quests have taken me. I'm not PvPing, so that is something that I can't speak on, and I talked about that in a previous video. The fact that this is the first time a PvP game or a game with PvP in it has gotten me to play it, and the reason is because I, a Care Bear, can turn PvP completely off and just play this as a PvE game. Now I have helped out with the supplies and some of those things when there's active wars going on or active territory conquering going on, but I'm not out there, killing players or anything like that. I'm just helping out with the buffing and supply missions and so on and so forth, which is a cool way for someone like me to participate in the PvP without actually having to participate in the PvP, if that makes sense. Um, so all in all, my first impression would be this. The fact that this doesn't have a monthly subscription makes it a game in my mind that you should probably play if you like action-based combat, and you think this looks even remotely interesting. It's a $40 pickup, I believe, and no monthly subs, so it's like it's really inaffordable, inexpensive to get in and actually just start enjoying the game. There is a cash shop, which right now is only related to cosmetics. I guarantee you that will change in the future. I guarantee you they will add experience buffs and fast travel buffs and things of that nature. But for right now, it is cosmetic only, and it's a game that I think if you're in between MMORPGs right now, it may be worth you playing. I actually put Final Fantasy 14 to the side to play this game. I wasn't anticipating picking up this game at all, and for those of you who watched my initial review of the closed beta, it was only like a couple of weeks before the closed beta kicked off that I decided I wanted to actually give this game a shot, and the reason was because they said that they had made it far more PvE oriented and they had a lot more PvE content in the game, and I was like, well, if that's the case, and then I went and watched a bunch of videos, and I was like, well, this actually sounds like something I might enjoy. Um, Visually, the game is stunning. I'm not running on max settings. I have a 1080 and I'm running on, I can run it on high, but because I'm often recording videos and streaming, I just run it on medium settings, which you're seeing right here. And the medium settings look really good in my mind. See if we can get a quick view of some landscape out here. I've not seen any issues with the zone lines in terms of, because this is open world, not really any zone lines, the invisible kind. But I mean, you can see here, it's a beautiful game. Very well done in my mind. Yeah, that's a cool place, Shattered Obelisk. I've spent a lot of time there. There's a lot of missions you got to do there in the Shattered Obelisk. Um, so yeah, I mean, if I had to give it a rating right now based on my first impressions, I would probably give it like ooh, like a 7 out of 10. Um, the fact that they abandoned controller support kind of tweaks me the wrong way. I also think that the quests are a little too repetitive, which is something I should probably talk about in my first impressions video, which I haven't done yet. I don't have a list. I'm just randomly talking about stuff. The quest system, it gets a little repetitive. Not the main quests, because the main quests have a story to them. It's the faction quests that are the ones, and the territory quests. Those are the ones that are. It's all repeatable, and it's always go kill this many things and go gather this many things and go do these things, and they're repeatable. The main quests, on the other hand, do have a story behind them, and they have been doling that story out very slowly. I'm still not that impressed with the storyline. Most of it you're finding through pages that you pick up in the game world, which, going back to my 7 out of 10 rating, the one thing I don't like about the game is obviously the lack of controller support. Um, and the second thing would be the storyline, in my mind, is not as prominent as it could be. Um, Obviously, there is a main story. You're finding some stuff out about the island and why you can't die and what the corruption is, and that is an overall story that's going through. Um, but it's not, I'm a lore junkie, so I really love like Star Wars: The Republic is a perfect game for me, or Lord of the Rings Online, because those games have extremely lore-heavy, story-driven main quests that take you through the game. And this so far hasn't been story-heavy; it's been story-light, with lots of side missions, which is an area where I really hated Guild Wars 2 because of that. Because Guild Wars 2, you were forced to grind other stuff that wasn't the main storyline in order to get to the main story. Also, the first time I tried Final Fantasy 14 years ago before the first expansion, I hated Final Fantasy 14 at the time because I had to grind side quests and boring side missions to keep my main levels up to be able to follow the main storyline. That exists in this game, and that's something that I have hated in every game I've ever come across, and I still hate it here. However, the crafting and the harvesting for me is so much fun that I'm able to sort of ignore that a little bit because I'm getting lots of experience from just going out there and harvesting and crafting. And also because the side missions for the mains the settlements, those aren't repeatable and those actually have stories behind them, so those have kept me occupied, but I absolutely I abhor the faction related repeatable quests. I can't stand them. So controller support, I wish they had it. I wish they wouldn't have abandoned it. The storyline, I'm not a big fan of. I wish they would have more story. Those are the two main things that stand out to me after playing the game for 40 hours. Again, I need more time to give it a full review, but right now it's sitting at like a 7 out of 10. I think it's worth picking up if you have nothing else to play, um, or if you just like to play something new. I think you'll probably get. I'm anticipating getting 2 to 3 months out of this game, honestly. And then if they drop a DLC, great. If not, I just bought all of the expansions to Final Fantasy 14, so I'll be going over there and playing that. And I've still got to finish Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous. So, I'm expecting, like I said, I'm expecting October, November, and I think by the time I get to end of November, I'll probably be max level and probably have experienced all the content that I care to experience in this game. Because again, I don't care about the PvP, and I'm not going to be doing PvP raids or settlement things of that nature. Once I hit cap, unless they're adding more PvE content to the game, I will be done with it until the next expansion or a DLC that adds more content. So that's where I'm at with 40 hours into New World so far. Let me know what you all think in the comments below. And again, leave a like if you liked the video. And if it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you can follow along for all the other content that I do here. And of course, check the links below if you want to join us over in Discord and hang out with us there, or check out Patreon where my wife, my brother, and I are working on a tabletop game, point and click adventure game, and a serialized novel that's being published through Patreon every month. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and have fun gaming, everybody. Peace!